The Oklahoma City skyline has its own unique style, but it has been changing. Urban renewal wants to give downtown a facelift. In order to create a new look, first you have to tear down the old. Buildings that for one reason or other are not part of downtown's makeup anymore. Several years ago, the old Biltmore Hotel made news when demolition crews got rid of the structure in one quick blast. It worked so well that Sunday the same method was used again on the John A. Brown warehouse in the Lawyers Building next door. For more than 50 years, the two buildings have been a part of downtown Oklahoma City. Urban renewal officials hope the new buildings going up will be to the liking of everyone. Urban renewal is constantly being accused of tearing down more than it builds, but officials say construction is very time-consuming.
It is true that in order to develop a large site, prepare it for redevelopment, it's necessary for us to go in and acquire the property, relocate the occupants, demolish the structures, and advertise that land for redevelopment according to the urban renewal plan. And there is a great time lapse sometimes.
This model shows Leadership Square. It will go up in the site of the recently demolished buildings. The buildings are designed to be shaped like stair steps, with one level 9 stories and the highest point being 21 floors. Construction of Leadership Square is well underway and appears will be completed on time in 1984. The total cost may top $60 million. Construction workers say they are almost ahead of schedule building the underground parking area. Urban Renewal expects the rubble from the demolished buildings to be hauled away by next week. Infill Leadership Square will be a welcome addition to downtown. Ed Stewart, Action 4.
Remember mid-May when day after day it rained? The town of Guthrie received 4.5 inches in just 24 hours. And yet Guthrie, and a lot of other towns, may fall victim to water rationing this summer. It isn't because there's not enough water, it's a problem of storing it and getting it to the people.
I would parallel the situation to 1980. If you'll recall, we had significant rains in the spring of 1980. Most of our reservoirs were full. The groundwater levels were up. However, about the middle of June, it seemed like somebody just turned off the faucet, and we went into an 8 or 9 month period where we had very sparse precipitation and extremely high temperatures. And even though the water supply was in good shape, we had about 360 or more communities across the state of Oklahoma that experienced some very difficult times during that period.
So the Water Resources Board wants people to be aware that just because we have had a lot of rain, that doesn't give people free rein to use more water. It may have to be rationed. And remember, the heat of the summer can last a long, long time. Bella Shaw, Action 4.
Lawrence Burton is a zoologist. He works in the Bahamas where he has developed a new cancer treatment, immunoaugmentative therapy, or IAT. His biggest supporter in Oklahoma is Representative Carl Twidwell. Twidwell's wife has cancer, and she goes to Burton. Twidwell was present at a meeting of the State Board of Health Thursday afternoon. The board approved regulations allowing the manufacture of IAT in Oklahoma. Dr. Charles Cameron is the Deputy Commissioner for the Health Department. He went to the Bahamas to talk to Burton and presented this slideshow to the board. Cameron said patients come in at 7 in the morning to have their blood drawn. The blood is tested between 7 and 10, and then the patients come back to get preloaded syringes. Cameron said the tests performed and equipment used are pretty standard, but Burton still isn't telling anyone what it is he adds to the blood injection the patient receives. This caused concern to several board members, but under a law passed this year, they had no choice except to proceed.
Which brings it right down to this one bit that the legislature again gave us the direction on, that we might be able to move from there, and then we can gather further information as we go from here. Otherwise, I don't think we can get any more information than we have right now.
The board approved an application form for those who would want to manufacture IAT in Oklahoma. Board members hope to learn more about IAT when Burton applies for a license. Bill Ross, Action 4 at the State Health Department.
Okay, Megan? Abby? Here. Holly? Here. Jennifer? Here. And
Roll call. Only for these students, there are no books, and their classroom is a swimming pool.
So Mommy and Daddy help out.
They are called Waterbabies, and the idea is to ease the fear of water.
This is the way we splash our feet on a Thursday evening. This is the way we wash our hair on a Thursday evening.
1, 2, 3. Well.
Are you getting tired, huh?
Gabriel Wallace, the son of Action 4 reporter Scott Wallace and his wife Elaine, is one of 11 water babies in this YMCA class. Learning respect for the water is not without some price, but gradually this fear melts away.
We're trying to orient the children to a fun experience in the water. It's not meant to be a drown-proofing class, it's a water awareness class to let them know what the water is for and how much fun it can be.
Parents are security blankets to give the child a familiar face as he treads water and the unknown. These feeble splashings are the groundwork for swimming talents yet to be learned. Water babies may not produce a Mark Spitz immediately, but youngsters may have learned enough to save themselves should they end up here without parental escort. Tony Stizza, Action 4.
Have you learned to take them off the wall and turn around and hold on? What?
These kids have been cleaning all week, preparing their new home. It's hard to believe it, but they're drug users, and it's here that they hope to clean themselves by kicking the habit. They're all a part of a new Drug Recovery Incorporated program for adolescent drug abusers. This hard work is their first lesson in the old school, one in responsibility and teamwork, two things most of these young people have never heard of, but are definitely learning. Take Loretta. At 16 years old, she's been addicted to drugs for 5 years.
I've been clean for 7.5 months, and I'm looking forward to coming out here. Because, you know, if we're all a family, we can relate to each other and we can help each other and we can support each other and tell what we're doing wrong to each other so we won't go out and get high.
18-year-old Mike is the program's best example of success. He's been abusing drugs for 7 years, been kicked out of 4 juvenile drug programs, and now with this project, he's responding after only 3 months.
It's kind of neat because, see, I'll be moving out here and I can look at it and say, wow, I'll come back here in 10 years and I clean this place up. It'll be pretty good.
Counselors and volunteers are helping the kids spruce up the old school, but perhaps the most help is coming from the members of the Adult Drug Abusers Program. They're not only giving support physically, but mentally. The administrators of the Adolescent Program think the new center is starting off on the right foot, and it can't help but be a success with the ideal setting of a school.
Not only will the kids be able to enjoy this gymnasium and the school library, they'll also have 6 acres to plant a garden on and raise animals. Sherry Sellers, Action 4 near Arcadia.
A lot of boat owners like to keep their boats at city lakes like Lake Hefner. The biggest reason is the convenience of being so close to a weekend on the water. But there are problems that come with the convenience. Last weekend's vandals broke into the dock area and damaged and ransacked several boats. The owners say the problem is a lack of security. And today, they met with city officials and rangers to discuss the problem.
I know that we have responsibilities to take care of lives. We have responsibilities to take care of the whole park and area, but your security is no better than your weakest link, and your weakest link is weak.
Councilman Bob Franks told the group the city was aware of the problems and wanted to correct them.
You've got the support, I think, of the city council. We are supposed to have a report Tuesday from the Parks Department director and our city manager on recommendations for beefing up the security and trying to take care of some of your needs.
Some of the boat owners say they've heard it all before. When the city raised the dock rent several years ago, they were told new lights were being installed. So far, they haven't been. Those owners want to start seeing results. But the whole group is willing to work with the city in any way they can to correct the security problems and to start making boating a more pleasant experience for everyone. Charles Schnitzer, Action 4 at Lake Hefner.
Three Nigerian students lived in this neighborhood and attended Central State University nearly a year without any problems. But last night, all that changed. This 4-foot-high cross was found burning in the front yard of the Nigerians' home. The three blacks were understandably afraid and asked that we not take their picture or show their home for fear of more racial incidents. Neighbors couldn't understand why anyone would try to hurt or scare the Nigerians. Everyone we talked to had only nice things to say about the students. Investigators were at first afraid this incident could spark racial tensions in Edmond, so a meeting was held with city officials.
In the opinion of the people in the meeting this morning, it was more of a juvenile prank than anything else. It was very hurriedly done. There was no pre-planning involved. You know, with the evidence left at the scene, it's being analyzed right now by the Technical Investigations Unit at the Police Department. And it looked like a juvenile prank more than anything else.
Williamson says the cross was burned because the students were black, not because they were foreigners. That's good news for the 1,040 students attending school at Central State University. The students we talked to had no complaints about the way they've been treated.
I don't see much, but usually you see somebody saying bad words eventually, sometimes, but not usually, not all the time. Really, it's very rare. I don't have much to tell you about the racial problems.
Just go to school and nobody bothers me or anything, you know. So I don't really feel that there's any racial problems going on.
I believe that our Edmond community has been most receptive and most gracious with our international students. There are a number of organizations in our community that cater to and assist our international students. We have a host family program whereby our students are regularly in the homes of Edmond residents. I just feel that the Edmond community has been most gracious with our international students.
Even though investigators here at the Edmond Police Department think the cross burning was only a prank, city arson codes and federal civil rights laws have been violated. If the teenagers who lit up the cross are found, they could be spending part of the long, hot summer here at the Edmond City Jail. Mark O'Neill, Action 4 in Edmond.
The students in Ms. Parrish's fourth grade class are 9 and 10 years old. That tender age seems so distant from arthritis, but in the U.S. there are 250,000 exceptions to that rule. Jeffy Gilliam was 4 when he became an arthritis patient. Jeffy plays hard, and he says that children accept him, but sometimes he is the object of childhood curiosity. But there are days when Jeffy trades his schoolyard and friends for the hospitals, doctors, nurses, and therapists. Arthritis affects a child's growth, so Jeff periodically is examined. With drugs and therapy, many young patients go into remission. Jeffy doesn't complain about his therapy or, for that matter, about his arthritis, but there are mornings when it's hard not to.
I tried to get out of bed, but I couldn't. My knees were stiff, my knuckles were stiff, my elbows were stiff, couldn't move. Sometimes I'll think, why does it have to be me?
Don't let me have it. Good, Jeff, good. Other hand.
You know, he's had it for so long, and I know the things that he can and cannot do, and I've learned to accept them. I try to encourage him when he comes up against something that he cannot do. You know, how do you know you can't do it? Try it and see what happens. I really don't have time to treat him any differently.
One reason is Jeffy's sister. 17-year-old Nancy is deaf.
We got some handicaps here that a lot of people don't have, but then we've got a group of kids that I would compare to anyone as far as being well-adjusted.
She has trouble sometimes communicating with me. Now, I can do perfect with her, but when she does some things, like word signs, I don't understand them. She'll go so fast.
Jeffy can't sit on his knees. He doesn't run as fast as other children, but he's not a quitter, and he won't let a disease that usually strikes long after childhood deprive him of his own. Jerry Adams, Action 4. A backyard basketball game. Nothing unusual, really, until you meet one of the players. Spina bifida put 11-year-old Kathy Caferio in a wheelchair, and she remembers how the birth defect was explained to her.
You might have difficulties doing things. For instance, walking. It's just something that happened to me, and I have to face the facts.
Normally, the spine develops like this, but spina bifida babies have a defect capable of paralyzing the legs, bowels, and bladder. The spine doesn't close normally at the lower end, and that damages the nerves.
The treatment deals with correcting the lower extremities or the legs, bracing the legs, and working around the fact that you're not going to get the nerves working again.
We sometimes really want to play by ourselves because we think that she can't play, but since she's been playing, we know that she's really good at basketball. It's just like nothing happened to me, and it's just like I'm one of the guys.
Kathy's got to do the living. I think what we try to do is try to make Kathleen's environment as normal as possible.
But away from home, things can change. Kathy is reminded of her limitations.
Like our neighbors, they have a 2-story house, and it's kind of hard to get upstairs.
Even though Kathy, her 2 brothers, and parents are close, spina bifida strains even the closest families.
You always feel like you're cheating the other members of the family. That time, that constant demand of time and energy and emotion. It has to. It takes away from everybody else.
One of my newest friends asked me if I like being in a wheelchair, and I said, no way, which is true.
Stay in between him and the basket, okay?
Let's go. Out there. Kathy plays for the Tigers, and this is the championship game with the Hot Shots.
It's something I can do that other kids can do. It makes me feel like I can do it and it makes me forget about my chair.
She, I think, has done a nice job of accentuating the positive and working well with what she has.
The Tigers didn't win the championship, but Kathy is winning the game of life, and that is the only one that counts. Jerry Adams, Action 4. Playing soccer takes energy, but there's a player on the field who can't convert food to energy he needs. The reason is a lack of insulin. 12-year-old John Butler was diagnosed a diabetic 2 summers ago.
He was eating frequently, drinking an incredible amount of liquids, going to the bathroom a lot.
Now John must check his blood sugar 4 times a day. He wears a pump which gives him a continuous flow of insulin. He used to take insulin shots, but with his pump, his diabetes is under better control. John has played soccer since he was 5. Exercise is vital to diabetes care, so that part of his life hasn't changed. But John's diet certainly has. Those oh-so-tempting sweets are out.
It's been very easy to adapt John's diet to what we all eat.
Do you think you all eat better now?
Definitely. When John is not well or has a severe insulin reaction, I think it affects all of us emotionally and as well as physically, because you are so tense and uptight handling the situation.
Older brother Bon is 16. He understands that sometimes John is treated differently.
Well, it happens, but it's never something I can't cope with. But I can realize why he should get some extra attention.
I just wanted how it was before. I got it, for people to treat me the same way.
You need that support. You need to have families that have confidence in their kids, and their kids have confidence in themselves, and then I think they're going to get through their diabetes and as a major challenge to their life and still go on and go forward.
All right, remember your angles in goal, okay? Come out on the guy, okay, and check your angles.
Before the game, John gives himself an insulin boost and then takes off his pump. After that, he's just the goalie for the Monarchs.
I'm concentrating on the game. I never think about my pump or, my insulin or anything. I didn't think anything about it. Having diabetes and playing soccer, I just went out and played with everybody else.
Tomorrow, in the next segment of our Newsbreaker series, we'll meet Mikayla. She has leukemia, another child of courage. Jerry Adams, Action 4. Roller skating is a favorite pastime of 9-year-old Mikayla White. As she glides down the sidewalk with her friends, the events of last February 8th are distant memories.
And they came in and told me that I had leukemia. And my mama started crying.
When I heard leukemia, only one thing I thought of at the time was death. She said, Mama, she said, will I be sick all my life? And I kind of just, sit there for a moment and said, well, Kayla, I really don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But if we do everything that the doctors say, then you might not be sick all your life.
Part of Mikayla's life is spent in the hospital, away from family and friends. Her chemotherapy is harsh medicine. She doesn't complain, even if her hair falls out. And if you ask her what she likes about the hospital, Mikayla replies, my doctors and nurses.
They give me my medicine, and they give me a lot. They do a lot of blood work. It's good for my leukemia, and they come in and check on me because some of the medicine that I take makes me sick.
Children are amazing. They live for today, and they don't think too much about what's going to happen tomorrow.
Tomorrow is on the minds of her mother and father. In addition, leukemia's financial and emotional burdens make running a family difficult.
It's not easy at all to do it. It's just something that you just have to really just work at and try to work out because you're planning on returning to normalcy.
Normalcy means going home. Yes, Mikayla has friends in the hospital, but she misses her family, especially her 7-year-old brother, Kevin.
He tells my mama, tell me hi, he hope that I come home soon.
Second to skating, Mikayla loves her dancing lessons. It's her first year in tap and ballet, and she won't let leukemia make her a wallflower.
She's taken it real well, and I think her strength has more or less helped us, and that's one of the good signs of family unity.
A lot of people are praying for me now. And they're hoping I get well, and I am too.
Tomorrow, in the final part of our Newsbreaker series, we'll meet Lucrecia Tilery. She had cystic fibrosis. Jerry Adams, Action 4. Five-year-old Lucrecia Tilery would rather be in her kindergarten class or out playing, but she was born with a genetic disorder that attacks the lungs, liver, and pancreas. Lucrecia has cystic fibrosis. Going to the hospital is nothing new. Sarah Tilery remembers a visit 2 years ago and what the doctor said.
He came out and told us that she was in respiratory failure and for us to spend the night up here because he didn't expect her to live through the night. And here she is.
Your chest been hurting you, huh? Now listen to it, huh? Pull your shirt up.
Clinic visits and coughing spells tire Lucrecia, but she bounces back.
They are amazingly strong, and they smile, they go through this, and they know what they need.
Safe at her grandfather's lap, Lucrecia takes one of her 3 daily treatments. She inhales a drug to break up the thick, sticky mucus that clogs her lungs. The Tilerys are our close-knit family. Everyone gets involved in the treatment.
Most of the time we're thinking about something, coloring or something, but sometimes, you know, you think how long she has or something, but most of the time we just have fun, laugh and everything.
Oh, that hurts.
There is nothing fun about the final part of every treatment. It looks brutal, but it's necessary to break up and bring up the mucus.
We know it's a chore and it's a liability, and that it's going to take all of us to get the job done, so it has brought us closer together.
Hold on, y'all.
I just get a lot of enjoyment seeing her enjoy life and living a day-for-day basis and enjoying every minute of it.
It's Sunday night at the Calvary Baptist Church. The Cherub Choir is singing and Lucrecia's front and center. It's fitting that she loves to sing at church. The Tilerys say their faith gives them strength.
We know that her life expectancy is not as long as what ours would be.
I think that we have learned to love each other one day at a time, as much love as we can give.
After this story was finished, a few days later, Lucrecia died. She imparted strength to her family, who gave approval that Lucrecia's story be told, titled, A Child of Courage. Jerry Adams, Action 4.
The Cheyenne Ridge Housing Addition in South Edmond is a quiet neighborhood where folks watch out for each other. But a lot of people woke up this morning and found that no one had been watching when a 19-year-old man rammed his car into around 20 garage doors in the area last night. Police arrested the man after they found a damaged car and traced paint samples left on the homes.
We had a couple investigators on the scene who could put chunks of paint off of his vehicle that are into numerous garage doors out there. What would spur someone to do this? We don't even know at this point. We confronted him with the evidence we had, and he said yes, that he in fact did do it with his parents, and that's about where we are with it right now. We're still questioning him.
Police say a conservative estimate of damage to homes and property is $20,000. No other cars were damaged. There is no motive for the destruction, which took place between 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock this morning, but police say the man told them he was in a drunken daze. It's too late to prove that now, and the only charges pending are for destruction of property. Charles Schnitzer, Action 4 in Edmond.
The school board and teachers union will be meeting every morning trying to hammer out a new contract for teachers. One thing that can be noticed is the tone of the negotiations. It is much more positive this year, and both sides feel an agreement will be reached by August. That is a sharp contrast compared to years before, when an agreement usually wasn't reached until after the start of the school year. In fact, one year there was a strike. But at their first meeting, both sides were optimistic a settlement could be reached soon. For one thing, most of the groundwork has already been laid. The average pay increase for city teachers will be about $2,000. The two sides will be concentrating more on fringe benefits, student discipline, and class planning time. After the first day of talks, both sides emerged hopeful the contract negotiations will run smoothly.
We both feel like we have a good foundation built on the contract here. There are some areas we feel like we need to make improvement in, and that's what we'll be working toward.
Today's climate was very, very positive. We were able to sign off on 3 different provisions within the proposal. There should be no reason why, if the climate continues to exist as it is, that we shouldn't be able to get it wrapped up.
Right now, it looks like the cooperative spirit will last. Bella Shaw, Action 4 at the School Administration Building.